Okay, guys, welcome back again to my segment, and today we'll talk about more lessons about grammar. And our focus here is about the topic dynamic verb. So, guys, when you say the word dynamic, what comes in your mind? So, completely say dynamic, it means like it shows action sometimes, right? And completely say verb, this kind of verb somehow shows some actions. But anyway, in our English lessons, we have learned some common verbs, such as action verbs, such as be verbs, modals, or helping verbs. But when we say dynamic verb, what do we mean by that? So, in my lesson, I'll discuss more about dynamic verbs and the kinds or types of these verbs. So, are you ready? Okay, now, this time, let's start. Mhm. So here, when we say dynamic verb, it is a verb used primarily to indicate an action, process, or sensation. So it means commonly this verb shows action, it has movement. And sometimes it can also show a process of doing something. So it means if we talk about process, somehow it is an ongoing action. Or sometimes it talks about sensation, it's about maybe our feeling or related to how we feel. So for the dynamic verb, it's also called an action verb or an event verb. Yes, so commonly for most of the people, they can tell or they recognize more about when you say the word action verb. But dynamic verb is like the higher form of the action verb. So remember, when we say dynamic verb, it shows action or it has movement. Okay, so commonly for our dynamic verb or action verbs, it has four major types. And these are accomplishment verbs, achievement verbs, activity verbs, and SEMELFACTIVES. So when I researched this one, actually I only found three types of dynamic verbs. But as I researched more, I found the fourth type, and that is SEMELFACTIVES. So commonly for SEMELFACTIVES, this is a new kind of dynamic verb, and later I will discuss more about it. So this time, let's talk about activity verbs. For activity verbs, they express an action that can go on for an indefinite period of time. So it means this kind of action shows some process, or maybe some action that can continue for a longer period, or maybe for a shorter period, because we don't know exactly how long will this action finish. And sometimes we don't know what will be the result because this action only shows activity. And sometimes activity verbs specify some type of change to their participants. Yes, commonly it shows some change to the one who is doing this kind of action. So remember, when you say activity verbs, this is an action that can go on for an indefinite period of time. So when you say go on, it means it continues. For example, we have this one. For example sentence, we have Harold pushed the cart. Our verb here is push, right? So if you notice, only push. So we cannot tell exactly how long will Harold push the cart. So it shows an indefinite length of time that this action will finish. So we call this verb as an activity verb. For more explanation, pushing takes place over a measurable interval, and the sentence does not state if Harold stopped pushing. So here in the sentence, it did not tell if Harold stopped pushing because he only pushed, right? So that's why we call it activity. It shows it shows an activity or action that somehow the time is indefinite. The pushing activity is dynamic. When you say dynamic, it means it has movement because Harold had to exert some force and usually results in moving the cart. Yeah, maybe of course the cart moves, but it is not really the real result of this example sentence. But our verb here is push. We say push. Okay, it is an ongoing action. Even though we had the pushed here is in simple past, but still the meaning here is like an ongoing activity verb. So still, we can say this is an activity verb. Okay, do not be confused with continuous verb. Okay, but this one is only an activity verb that shows a continuous or ongoing action. Oh, now we have the second one. For the second one, we call this one as accomplishment verbs. For accomplishment verbs, they are dynamic, of course. It shows movement and directive. When we say directive, guys, it means it shows duration. It shows the length of something, or how long will something go or continue. And directive like activities. Yeah, also for activities, remember, for activities, it also has duration. For accomplishment as well, it also shows duration of the action, but result in some accomplishment. Unlike the activity verb, it does not have any result. It only shows duration. But for accomplishment verbs, it has both duration and result. That's how accomplishment becomes separate from activity verb. And also, accomplishment expresses an action that has a logical endpoint. So when we say logical endpoint, it means there's an ending, there is an result or logical result of this action. Example sentence, we have Janet washed the dishes. So of course in our verb here we have the washed. For washed, of course, when we say washed, it means maybe the dishes was already finished washing that time. I think it means there is like a result of that action already. So here, dishwashing requires some interval of time. It means it requires a long period or duration of time to finish this action, for the word wash or dishwashing sometimes, and should result in a dynamic change from dirty to clean crockery. So it means when we wash something, it starts from a dirty plate to becoming a clean plate. So it means we can say that there is like a result of this action. So the change in cleanliness for all the dishes marks the end of the accomplishment. So it means the word wash here shows some result. Unlike for the activity verb, for example, the verb is push. Yeah, there's no result actually, right? Only push. So the action was ongoing. But for the word wash here, in our mind, we're thinking that there is change or there is like an accomplishment because the dishes were dirty at first, but then because Janet washed the dishes, that it became clean, or they became clean. So that's why this verb, such as wash, is an example of an accomplishment verb. Okay? And for the next one, we have achievement verbs. For achievement verbs, guys, they express an action that occurs instantaneously. So when we say instantaneously, it means quickly, immediately. This action happens really quick or really quickly sometimes. So that's why it is kind of different from the accomplishment verb. Because from accomplishment verb, in order this action to be finished, it takes a long time. Okay? But for achievement verbs, this action or this verb happens quickly or instantaneously. So but remember, even for achievement verb, they also show result, or they result in a change of state like accomplishments, but achievements unfold in an instant. Also, the achievement or the result of something happens quickly. Not only the verb happens quickly or instantaneously, also the result or the achievement of the action also happens quickly. But that's why there's a difference. Unlike here for accomplishment, it takes time for the result to happen. But for achievement, of course, this one happens immediately, instantaneously, or quickly. So do not be confused about accomplishment verbs and achievement verbs. So in your mind, just remember, when you say accomplishment, it has many letters, right? It's so long. So in your mind, if you say accomplishment, oh, maybe it's long. This verb is long. It happens in a long time, and it shows result. But when we say achievement, yeah, this one is kind of shorter than accomplishment. So it means this verb, this dynamic verb, means that it happens instantaneously or quicker than the accomplishment verb. Okay, so that's how you differentiate accomplishment verb from achievement verb. Okay, but anyway, remember, both of them shows result, but their only difference is their time duration, of how long the action happens, and also the result of the action, how long it happened. So sometimes you need to be careful trying to differentiate between achievement verb and accomplishment verb. And for our new kind of, we have example sentence here first. Example, Clive found his keys. Our verb here is found. Okay, for this found, as you can notice, found really happened so quick, right? It didn't take much time, unlike for the word wash. Because wash actually takes a lot of time to have or to get a result. But for the word found, somehow this happens really quick. It's only found, right? So the act of finding his keys unfolds in an instant. It means quickly. It's the searching activity that takes much longer. So actually here, for example, if you try to use Clive was searching for his keys. If you use the word for searching here, do you think will still become achievement, or the dynamic verb will be changed? Okay, remember, for the verb here, search, or Clive was searching for his keys, then probably the word search or searching, it is a long action. Okay, yeah, kind of long. It shows process, but anyway, he was just searching the keys, and there was no result actually. So what do you think? Is it achievement? Is it accomplishment? Or is it activity? Okay, for the word searching, this is an activity or search. Because remember, the word search, or for searching sometimes, it does not show any result. Okay, only searching. That's why we can say that the word search is an activity verb, because it happens for a long time. Okay, and for our final kind of dynamic verb, we call that SEMELFACTIVES. SEMELFACTIVEs are like achievements. Yes, these are like achievements. It means they're similar with achievements. Okay, remember, achievements, they show abrupt or quick result or action, and are abrupt forms of dynamic events. So it means this is really abrupt. It really happens so fast. But anyway, however, they differ from achievements. Somehow they're different from achievement because in the SEMELFACTIVEs, it does not show any result in an accomplishment or change of state. Yeah, this action happens really fast, but somehow there is no result even though it happened or happens so fast. So we call this verb as SEMELFACTIVEs. Okay, example sentence. We have Lucy coughed during rehearsal. Our verb here is coughed. And cough, when we cough during rehearsal, okay, okay, it only happened less than a second, or maybe less than 2 seconds. So the word cough here happened really quick. The action finished, but somehow it did not show any result. So if the action again happened quickly, but it didn't show any result, we call that SEMELFACTIVEs. Understand? Okay, I think that's for our four types of verbs. Okay, let's have a review first. Okay, again for the first one we have activity verbs. For activity verbs, this verb expresses an action that can go on for an indefinite period of time. So it means it continues on a longer period or with some period, we can't tell exactly. So we call it one activity verb. And of course, activity verb has no result even though this action is expressed in our sentence. And for our accomplishment, yeah, somehow they are dynamic, and also these verbs are directive. Again, when you say directive, it means it takes a long time, it has a longer period to do something, and it's quite similar with activities. It takes a long time for an action to happen, but the only difference for accomplishment with activity verb is it shows result in its meaning. And of course, it has a logical endpoint. It means there's an ending sometimes. For example, when we watch drama, sometimes there's an ending, right? So commonly for this kind of verb, it talks about like having a drama, talking about a situation that has a starting point and an ending point. And for achievement verbs, these verbs also has a result, but the only difference here with this one with the accomplishment verb is that it happens quickly, or we call that instantaneously. And also the result happens also in an instant. And for SEMELFACTIVES, yeah, somehow it is also similar with achievement verb, but however, the only difference here is there is no result. Even though the action happens fast, but there is no result. Okay. Now let's have a short practice. This time, let's try to know whether the following verbs in this given example are activity verb, accomplishment verb, SEMELFACTIVEs, and of course the other one is achievement verb. Okay, now for number one, Oliver ate the meat pie for a couple of minutes. So what do you think? What kind of verbs is this? Okay, later, after I read all of these 5 sentences, then we will check your answer. Okay, after I read all of these. For number 2, Jake recognized her voice for a minute. Oh, okay, we have the verb here, recognized. So do you think it's activity? Is it accomplishment? Is it SEMELFACTIVEs? Okay, or whatever kind of verb? And for number 3, the screen will flicker in another hour. Oh, our verb here is will flicker or flicker. So what kind of verb is this? What kind of dynamic verb is this? And for number 4, Jason will live with Donald in Germany. Oh, this one. Do you think the verb here is live or will live? What kind of dynamic verb is this? And for our 5th statement, Martha prepares the meal for her siblings. Prepares. So do you think is it action? What kind of verbs are they? Now, if you have time, you can take down notes, and then after a few seconds, let's check your answer. Okay, done? So this time, let's check your answer if you got all of them correct. Okay, now, so this is our answer. For number 1, the number 1 statement, the verb there, our verb there is ate. Okay, so we have Oliver ate the meat pie for a couple of minutes. So this verb is the ate here is an example of an accomplishment verb. Why? Because the word ate shows a result. And somehow is kind of long because 8. Maybe we had a word for a couple of minutes, but sometimes these actions, of course, the word 8 shows accomplishment, right? Because maybe when you eat something, it takes time, of course. There's definite time. And yeah, probably he finished eating the meat pie. So there is result there. So we call this one accomplishment. Remember, it's kind of long, so we call it one accomplishment. And for number 2, Jake recognized her voice for a minute. The verb here is recognized. Recognize someone. Oh, I know, I can tell his voice. So this one's really it happened maybe less than 5 seconds or 10 seconds. And afterwards, finish, right? So it means you know her voice, you can tell her voice. So somehow this kind of verb is called an achievement verb because it happens, or the result also shows quickly, and the verb also happens instantaneously. For number 3, the screen will flicker in another hour. Oh, we had the word flicker. Flicker. Okay, maybe less than 1 second or 2 seconds that the screen will flicker in another hour. So it means this action also will happen probably quick, but somehow there's no result. After it flickers, what happens? We don't know, right? We don't know exactly. So it means this kind of verb, we call this one as SEMELFACTIVE. For number 4, Jason will live with Donald in Germany. Okay, this one, this is also an activity. Only live, but somehow there's no result here. And it shows duration, because the word will live or live here as a base form shows a long duration of the verb or activity. But of course, we don't know exactly how long will they live together in Germany. So that's why we call the word will live here as activity verb. And for number 5, Martha prepares the meal for her siblings. This one, okay, I can say this one is activity. Maybe at the time, okay, he's preparing the meal, or he's always preparing the meal for his or for her siblings. So we call this one as also activity verb. Okay, so I hope you have learned some advanced grammar about dynamic verbs, and for next time I will try to explain about stative verbs. So stative verb is like the opposite of dynamic verb. So I will try to give more examples, and I will try to differentiate between dynamic verb from static verb on my next segment. Okay, so I believe that's all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed my simple segment, and I hope you have learned something about English. And I would like to say goodbye now because my time is over. Take care and have a great day. Once again, my name is Darrell, and see you again next time. Goodbye.